The Catholic Church in Tasmania has long struggled with a shortage of priests. Now it's on the hunt for a new Archbishop. I spoke to the Archbishop about the challenges he's faced during his time at the head of the Church in Tasmania and those for his successor. Born in Hobart in 1936, Adrian Doyle was ordained a priest in Rome in 1961 and became the first Tasmanian to become Archbishop when he was installed in 1999.
I willingly and firmly take up this ministry of hope.
Now he's turned 75, canon law requires he tender his resignation to the Pope. You're directly answerable and your resignation has to be tendered to the Pope, is that right?
That's right, because it's his appointment in the first place.
You've recently been to Rome for your last visit, is that right, with the Pope? What was that like? Did he give you a gift, a gold watch or something?
Well, actually, he gave all the bishops a gold pectoral cross.
There were 6 other bishops from Australia, all resigning at the compulsory age. How long is it likely to take? I mean, you mentioned the 7 of you from Australia going to visit the Pope. How long is it expected that it will take to find a replacement for you?
Well, I don't really know, but I've got it in my own mind that it could go into the middle of the year, next year.
Why is that?
Well, the process, I suppose, is a little bit slow. The other thing is that here in Australia there are about 7 other appointments that need to be made, some of them more urgent in some ways.
Now you're about to celebrate 50 years in the priesthood. You began studying to become a priest when you were 19 years old. Did you ever consider a different life?
My father was a lawyer and I used to say, oh well, I'll be a lawyer. Like my brother, he became a lawyer. But I knew deep down this really wasn't the real answer. And then towards the conclusion of my year 12 I just came to realise that at least I had to give this serious consideration. And so that set the wheels in motion.
A shortage of priests has been a challenge for the Archbishop and will continue to be for his successor. It's led him to close churches, amalgamate some parishes and bring in priests from Nigeria. How many short is Tasmania?
Well, I mean, if we had 5 extras, we could place them very readily and it would make an enormous difference. Because, among other things, some of those who are in big parishes, like at Kingston and Bellerive, I mean, they're men in their early 70s, so that's another factor in the consideration.
There are only 3 Tasmanians currently training at the seminary in Victoria to become priests. There's also this move towards increasing the number of lay people taking services.
Well, I think that we have been quite good in responding to the need in certain locations, particularly in country areas, where that is in many ways the only alternative.
Some are concerned in the Church, have said that Tasmania is at risk of becoming part of the Archdiocese of Melbourne. How real is that concern?
I don't really think that it is a concern at the moment, and I find it hard to envisage that it would happen, but sort of down the track you can't be sure.
Now, one of the biggest issues you've had to deal with as Archbishop is the victims of sexual abuse by members of the Church. Do you have any regrets about the way that you personally handled that?
The sufferings of victims is just horrendous, really. And it takes a while, I think, for people who are hearing it for the first time to actually be able to appreciate just what's being said here. And I feel maybe I went into a bit of shock over it. I didn't quite appreciate it. It was all so new and so difficult for those people about something so serious. So I regret that my response in those early stages was not as quick or as decisive as it should have been.
What's your response to plans by Survivors Australia to recommend to victims not to go through the towards healing process, but in fact to go through the courts?
Well, part of the protocol that we follow is to encourage the victims to go to the police and to follow it through, and that's their right, and we try to give them every assistance to do that. So, I mean, this is criminal behaviour, and it needs to be considered in the way that the law provides.
The Catholic Church is the largest non-government employer in the state, providing services to around 70,000 Tasmanians. The Archbishop is critical of the recent debate in state parliament on same-sex marriage.
Well, I think it's a question of priorities, and I think there are some more urgent day-to-day priorities out there for people.
Once he retires, the Archbishop plans more golf, study and perhaps joining a choir. But once a priest, always a priest, and he'll continue to offer his services if required.
Build up links with people. I baptised 2 children on Sunday, babies, and I baptised their mothers 30 plus years ago. So these links are very precious, very impersonal, very important.